Speaking of speculation, this guy had quite the speculatory hot take back on July 29th. We love him. He's a great analyst, former NFL quarterback, played at Tulane, 12-0. It may have been the Liberty Bowl that they won, but they had a great season, late 90s. Sean King, Super Bowl champ as well. Before we actually say hi to him, listen to this hot stuff he was dropping July 29 about Jameis Winston. Give me 10 seconds. Jameis Winston. Does he have some fun this year? Does he make some plays? Winston, Saints.
MVP caliber season.
What? You're going to end the conversation with that?
MVP caliber season. Sean Payton is probably the most foremost guru genius at getting pieces to fit and do things that they're good at.
All right there, Sean. So I know you were feeling yourself after week 1. 5 touchdowns, even with nominal yardage. Saints with a big win against a good team. They destroyed the Packers. And then week 2 came about. So there was one Jameis, and then there was a totally different Jameis. Who's the real Jameis? What's up, buddy?
What's up? How you guys
doing,
Good, man? Hey, listen, it's the week 1 Jameis. Here's what's amazing about the game at Carolina. Half the coaching staff wasn't there because of COVID protocol.
Yep.
And during the game, they put a graphic up. The roster they expected to have coming out of training camp, 10 of those guys are missing right now. So the Saints are kind of going to have to tread some water here early until they get 100% and get all their guys back. But Jameis is going to be fine. I mean, Carolina's, I think, probably one of the more underrated teams. You know, you look at their defense, and they have some guys who've done some great things in this league. And offensively, when you start putting Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, I mean, that's a good 3 elite skill guys. And Sam Darnold looks like he's living up to where he was drafted initially out of Southern Cal. And when you look at what's going on with Zach Wilson and the Jets, maybe it wasn't Sam Darnold. Maybe it's just the Jets.
Yeah. He's finally with a real franchise. That's why I really thought Darnold would do well.
Got an offensive line and a lot of weapons.
And a dump-off weapon of McCaffrey and real coaching. No, he's going to be pretty good this year. And the Panthers, I'm with you. And Teak likes them as well. I'm like, I think they'll be a playoff team. But take us inside the room forget about the players who didn't play this week. What about the install of the game? You know, because Tiki was theorizing, you know, if you had all these people missing as a running back, it's one thing, and it would be detrimental. If you're the quarterback and there's 8 coaches missing, what was Jameis's week like leading up to this game, do you think?
Well, it's something they've never gone through. You know, did you guys see the Peyton and Eli deal on Monday Night Football?
A little bit.
And you saw Travis Kelce come on the interview. He didn't even realize they were playing the Ravens.
Yeah.
He said the wrong team. And I just said that to say, like, most NFL guys are focused on the opponent they just played.
That's right.
They show up the next week fully dependent on the coaching staff to have laid out, okay, this is what they do. This is how we're going to attack it. This is how you fit into how we're going to attack their deficiencies. So when you take that tutelage and that guidance away from 3, 4, 5 different positions, I mean, that's tough.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I don't know how they even put it. I mean, it makes sense they only had 128 total yards in the game.
But they didn't have a lot in the first week either. He only threw for 140.
Yeah, but at least defensively they were stout and they were frustrating to. I mean, this was a disaster. But you mentioned Carolina, and you know we assumed that this division was going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Tampa looks great. I mean, Tom Brady is ageless. He's now saying he's going to play till he's 50. Gronk looks like he's 27, 28 years old, right? And we just assume that, you know, it's going to be Tampa and everybody else. Currently, Carolina has the number 1 defense in football. And you mentioned some of the offensive names. These guys on defense are ballers as well. Can they make a playoff run, even though a lot of people didn't see it coming this offseason?
Absolutely. You know, I actually did the Bill Walsh internship with the Panthers this year. So I was there for almost all of April and half of May for their OTAs. And, I mean, they added Hassan Reddick to increase the pass rush. They drafted J.C. Horn. Like, they got some guys. You know, Matt Rule, I think, does an outstanding job of leading men. You know, the big question mark was, you know, Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
You know, did the Jets ruin him? Or were the Panthers going to be able to kind of rekindle, you know, the opinion that everyone in the league had of him coming out of college? And through 2 weeks, I mean, I love when great things happen to all the people that are involved in trades. And this looks like one of the best situations ever because Teddy is flourishing in Denver, and it looks like Sam and Carolina are exactly what each other needed. So I think from a talent standpoint, to answer your question, Tiki, they're as good as all but about 3 teams in the NFL from a talent standpoint, top to bottom.
I don't disagree. We're talking to Sean King, former NFL quarterback, and of course, a great player at Tulane. He won a Super Bowl as a backup with the Bucs, and he's with us here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio.
I was talking to Rondé yesterday, Sean, and he was at the game, the Tampa game, and he was with the Falcons, some of the Falcons people as well. And he was saying they missed an opportunity for Justin Fields because Matt Ryan. I mean, there are moments where he looks okay, but there's other moments, and a lot of them where he just looks done. Right? I know the Falcons are rebuilding, and Arthur Smith's got a bigger challenge on his hands than I think he assumed. But this Falcons team is going to be bad. Do you think they missed on not getting one of these quarterbacks? Because next year's quarterback class is not elite, unless you count the kid from Liberty. There's really one guy who has a first-round grade. The Falcons might have done themselves dirty themselves.
Well, absolutely, and I think the main reason is you can't have an immobile quarterback with a bad offensive line. Those two things just don't go together. And, at least from the outside looking in, I'm not inside the building. It looks like from a salary dump standpoint, they were like, we either have to get rid of Julio or get rid of Matt.
I see.
And Julio still seems to have some eliteness in him, and Matt doesn't. So it's going to be a long year in Atlanta. I was so disappointed in their effort in week 1. New coach, home opener. I didn't really understand the offensive game plan. They were in tight end, fullback, I formation. I wasn't really sure.
You're like, wait a second. What year is this?
So it's going to be a long season in Atlanta. I mean, I don't see any pot of gold at the end of that rainbow. They're going to have to blow that thing all the way up.
Yeah,
they do have 2 good young pieces, though, in
Pitts.
Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley.
Ridley, for sure, no doubt. And Gage is okay as well, but the other 2 definitely difference makers. So what are you seeing on film? 2 things. What are you seeing on film down in Jacksonville? And just the overall vibe with Urban Meyer. What are you feeling about the Jags early?
So I do a spot down in Jacksonville every week. And I said this before the season, and I'll echo it here. The best thing the Jaguar fan base can do is not care about the result. Just use this season as an opportunity to get experience for a lot of young guys and a young head coach. Because you can see the talent is there with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, you can see DJ Shark and those guys flash talent, but they just don't have enough guys to win games in this league. So this is going to be a growing year for Urban. This is going to be a growing year for Trevor, but I think they're going to benefit greatly from it the following year. A lot of people look at Troy Aikman and that Dallas Cowboy run and forget the Cowboys were terrible Aikman's rookie year. I think they went 1-15?
Yep, 1-15.
Or something.
Yep.
So I think this was very similar. Don't worry about the results. Just get experience, work on some things, try some things that maybe you were thinking about from a creativity standpoint, offensively and defensively, catalog what works and what doesn't work, and use everything you learned from this year to help you going into next year.
Sean, what about up in Chicago? Now, I know Bears fans are probably inwardly cheering, and nobody's cheering for Andy Dalton to get hurt, but he gets hurt, and Justin Fields has to take over. He's kind of average at best, but they did get the win because their defense was great. And I almost feel like that might be the perfect circumstance for Justin Fields to take the reins right now. He doesn't have to do too much. Now you game plan so he feels comfortable. He looked a little lost in the Andy Dalton game plan, but you game plan so he feels comfortable. You rely on that defense with Roquan Smith and Khalil Mack and a bunch of those other guys who are ball hawks. Right? It kind of is going to work out, I think, okay for the Chicago Bears right now.
I'll be honest with you guys. I envy Matt Nagy. I want to one day have that relationship with my boss. I could just do dumbheaded thing after dumbheaded thing and don't get fired.
Yeah.
That's got to be like a great feeling. We draft Mitchell Trubisky instead of, Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes?
Yep.
Okay. So we screwed that one up. So now we're going to take a kid in the first round, but we're going to play Andy Dalton because he says it's his time. And that's not taking us anywhere. I mean, this is a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you? I know they made the playoffs last year, but nobody really views the Bears as a legitimate Super Bowl contender. You have a young quarterback. Your fan base is looking for something to believe in. Obviously, it's not going to be Andy Dalton. Why not play Justin, get him experience, He's a kid. When you look at what he did statistically at Ohio State, he can really throw the football. He doesn't get enough credit for his arm talent. I want to say it was 41 touchdowns and 5 or 6 interceptions his senior year at Ohio State. That's hard to do. So I would play him. They got some good young pieces. I love the running back Montgomery. They re-signed Allen Robinson. They have some other young receivers there. So I play Justin and let him develop, and hopefully the second half of the season, he's got enough experience where you guys can make a run, because it's not like the NFC North looks like it's that formidable.
No, but I'm going to push back a little bit here, and I'm a huge Fields fan, but number one, he did not look good yesterday, so let's not ignore that. He looked a little overwhelmed, and Andy Dalton was playing well.
Have you ever chauffeured?
No.
So if you were driving this couple to this nice spot, and all of a sudden, right before they got out the car, the woman was like, "I need you to come and do this dance with me," you probably would perform as good as if you knew leading up to that Friday or Monday that you could practice the dance and prepare for the dance, and you could work on what you weren't good at and get a good feel for it. This is Justin. It's for a rookie quarterback, it's a huge difference knowing I'm the starter, getting all the first-team reps, kind of honing the game plan to what I can do right now, as opposed to being the backup, and the game plan is built for Andy Dalton. Now, you're professional. You got to be ready, but he'll tell you, the game plan is built for the guys they think are going to play.
That's right. That's right. Exactly right.
Yeah, I like the kid.
If I had gotten hurt, and luckily I didn't, what they wanted when Brandon Jacobs was my backup, they would have.
Well, you couldn't do what he did, and he couldn't remotely come close to doing what you did.
That's exactly
Two
right.
different skill sets.
And now imagine that tripled for quarterbacks, maybe even 10 times different for quarterbacks.
Yeah, I got you.
It's a good analogy though, because I think that's about right.
Yeah, it's almost as right as your Jameis Winston MVP pick.
Hey, just be patient.
Hey, man, good rapping with you, Sean. Always fun. Thank you very much, Sean King.
Hey, thank you, guys. And let me say one last thing. Please send an email over to the Jets and tell them not to ruin Zach Wilson.
Oh, dude, Sean.
We just finished talking about it.
Oh, Sean. I'll do one more. I'll go and knock down the damn door in the building. I won't even wait for the email to transmit electronically. I'll just scream it in their faces.
Y'all have a great day, man.
Oh, yeah, it's off to a great start. Thanks, pal. Please don't ruin Zach Wilson. I have limits, man. I'm resilient, and I think that Zach has more talent than Sam, and I always thought that Sam was going to regenerate somewhere. I know that Jet fans are overreacting today about Zach Wilson, but, geez, 4 picks.
It's not Zach Wilson.
That was jarring.
It's not Zach.
I understand that, but we still watched 4 picks.
True. It's not all Zach Wilson.
I know that, but we still saw 4 picks. Let's get the update. Ack is on top of that. We'll come back, keep with a blast. Ack, go ahead, Rich. What do you got?
The world moves pretty fast. 1 minute you're standing, the next you're dragging. How can you keep up? I'll tell you. I'm Ira Madison III, host of Keep It. Each week, Louis Vertel, Aida Osman, and I do the hard work of exploring the intersection between entertainment, culture, and politics, with guests like Billy Porter, Catherine O'Hara, Ronan Farrow, Francesca Ramsey, and more. New episodes of Keep It drop every Wednesday. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.